Yeah, I, I, I think I'm going to leave it to a couple of questions because that'll energize my brain, I think. You know, the left side of the brain speaks and the right side laughs. I don't know what makes music. It's somewhere in between those, but it's not in the speaking part because my mouth isn't working at all. You can hear me? Okay.
Starting off with a question. Right here.
Just shout it out.
Yeah, he'll translate it into old person's language.
So the sounds that sounded like male, breathing, was that completely digital, or was that partially you that you filtered?
Okay, I knew something would get my brain working. What I've developed over the years, with the Buchla, 150 years ago and all of that stuff, what I was really trying to do is to make, if you will, a kind of analog computer before the computers came in, because when the computers came in to this brand new world that we were going to have, programmers, would be programming and creating a language for everybody who was going to use the computers from that point on. And there are some terrible examples of wonderful examples, but also some drastic ones. They put in just by chance, because that's what he knew, he put in the code for how to make a piano play, which, everybody practices their piano. And that turned into it's still to this day, is when you go to make a score for an orchestra or a violin or a cello or anything you want to do in the computer, you're using a program that was designed for pianos. And if you play the cello, you can go, whoa. You can't do that on the piano. And so they had to build other things over the top. It really, in many ways, the music programs that we have, the things that people come and do, are designed like what is the name of the thing with Apple has where you pick an instrument? Pardon? Yeah, garage band. So they're deciding what your music is going to be. The composer's gone at that point. You're just playing around with it. I knew that was going to happen. It had to happen. It's not. They didn't do it for bad reasons. They did it for their own reasons, and that doesn't work in this kind of world. So I don't get off on that tangent. It seemed like nobody knew what I was talking about when I said this is going to happen. So I just gave up my clarinet that I was making a living with, and I was a virtuoso at, and I decided there's other people out there doing this too, but this is the only one I knew doing it, that I should, instead of just complaining about what's going to happen, I should try to do something about it. And that's what I did. And that's what I'm still trying to do today, as I'm in my last performance. What happened is that the Buchla, as we designed it, was capable of doing some of making a new, instead of just handing you something to play, making you make whatever it is you wanted to make, and make your own instruments and so forth and so on. But if you wanted to play this with the Buchla, which was pretty versatile, you would need a stage full of equipment. I'm using 20 oscillators would take up more than this bench here. That's only the sounds of the piece. All the other stuff would be across the entire place with a ladder to get up to the top. And it would be a nice ballet, I suppose, but it wasn't what I had in mind. I thought computers would do it. It turns out that in this whole life of mine, which is fairly long now, the computer could never do all of that as I just did it. I have the entire Buchla 200E 2 times, 3 times over in this computer. And it's an array. This is answering your question. It's an array. Oh, it was your question, sorry. I only see out of one eye, so I don't have any dimensionality. I put you to sleep already. So it's only in the last, I gave up on it. I went and made children's programs. I made operas. I did all kinds of stuff using technology. And I get every once in a while, a new computer would come, and we got the first round of the Macintosh 400K. I think it was maybe more, but very low thing, hard drive, and it cost, I think, $2,000 back in those days. That didn't help very much. And all the time I was trying, I tried different things. I couldn't get this thing that I have right now. This is only 5 years ago that this is capable of being done. Is that better? It's only about 5 years ago that the computer can handle this at the speed that we need it to handle. And so I came back to the idea, and that's when I started this piece, which is it's a piece, As I Live and Breathe. And I'm putting in, and I'm just at the point, this is truly my last performance, because I just don't have the energy to do another one. And Miguel, where are you, Miguel? Miguel is learning it. Where are you? I can't see you, but I see it, something going. Miguel has been working with me on it to make it possible for other people to do it. What you have here, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but you have that many things. You got a front load of things and performances and all kinds of things that you're triggering and controlling with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all very cheap interfaces. The computer's not cheap, but it's not that expensive. It's a Macintosh. But it's not just it's the chips that made it. The computer could handle it, but it started to overload and slow down and go to, and up until 5 years ago, and 5, 6, whatever it was, maybe even less. And so at that point, it was too late for me to do anything more. But I could make one more piece, which is this, and hand the process over to Miguel for a year. He has rights for it for a year, and he can play it. And I don't know if that answers your. Oh, you're over there. I don't know if that answers your question.
Not quite.
Not quite. You're hard to please.
The more, the breathing, if that was completely created in machine.
Yeah.
Or was you.
No. The breathing is partially breath, my breath, and there, in another version where we use visuals, it's coming out on Blu-ray, and it'll have the visuals with it. You see me breathing, but the breath is not just breath; it's part of the oscillators as well. So I can take my breath and blend it. I was blending it with different kinds of oscillation with the keyboard, and there are various things in here. I'm not going to open it up and play them for you, but they're very. It's what I have in what this is controlling And what's deep in the computer is an orchestra of my instruments, including my own voice and modulations of my voice, and you can go in any direction and any way you want with it, but it always sounds like this piece. But so does all of Beethoven sound like Beethoven, like one piece, but they're not. And all of Bach, all the fugues, they're wonderful, but they're all by Bach. And each one uses the same or similar approaches to music. Look at all the string quartets there are in the world. No two string quartets by two different composers sound the same, but they're not that different. They're not like apples and oranges, or maybe they are. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. This limits the world, just like an orchestra limits the world, but it limits it in the sense that you're making everything in it, so that if people were doing this, they'd have their own orchestras and their own approach to music. But if you can't do it without the technology, and it has to be adaptable to it. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the question, because I got rid of a lecture.
Hi, Morton, could you explain further about your concepts of ghost electronics? Could you explain about your concepts of ghost electronics?
Pardon?
Could you explain a little more about your concepts of ghost electronics?
Oh, ghost, yes. The ghost electronics, my dream was threefold. It became fourfold when the computer came. The main three things, I was first writing for the record player, because I was overdubbing. And so, I thought I'd be done finding out what the message was. And it took me, I thought 2 or 3 pieces I could do that. It took me 10 years, but I did that. And then the second thing, when I did that, I was going to take musicians and bring them on the stage and find an appropriate thing. And the ghost pieces have their pieces written for most of them are quite difficult. And who asked the question? So I can get my head in that direction. And they're virtuosic, and so you have to be a very good musician. And they're some are graphic, but most of them are written out quite closely. And what the ghost is, it amplifies the instrument and mixes it, and the ghost changes the auditorium acoustics. So it's passing. My favorite is the trumpet one, he plays a staccato, and it's actually panning it like one of my sounds through the space in different kinds of ways. And the orchestra on the stage, it's about 10 instruments. There are duplicates on one side and the other side, and they're written acoustically to pan. And then you have the percussion in the back. And so you have all these things flying around the room and even on the stage, but it's still this virtuosic piece. Does that help? And I called it Ghost because the very first ones I did by hand. I did it moving the instruments around like I'm doing here, better than I did here, but like I do here. And then I had someone design a box that would do it. And when you got one of them, this was way back. When you ordered to play it, what came in the mail was the music and a box, an electronic box. And well, that's the answer. I lost you back there. Did that help?
It's all good.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have time for another question or two? How do you feel more?
Pardon?
Are you time for another question or two? Should we keep going a little more?
Okay. And if there are no other questions, I'd like to just tell you what happens after I live and breathe here, what I do next, starting next week. I have a memoir that I've been working on. I started at MIT. It didn't work out for a number of reasons. I gave up on it. And now that I'm stopping this, I have a publisher, and we're going to start working next week on it. It takes me through the making of Silver Apples of the Moon. Because after Silver Apples of the Moon, I went to start Cal Arts, and that was 2 or 3 years of a whole memoir in itself, and that's education. And then I came back and did children's programs for about 4 years, and there's going to be another memoir, but in a different form. It won't be published as a book. It'll be electronically published. And then I came back and I'm still trying to do this, but it didn't work, as I said. And then I did, I did the children's programs, and then, that was a children's program. So after that, then I went back again to New York, and I did a series of multimedia operas, ending with, well, I don't know what I ended with, but the big one was for an Brigands festival, for the Brigands Festival. We toured Europe and parts of the United States with it. It's very difficult to do, but you can actually see parts of it on, if you go to YouTube and say Morton Subotnick, Jacob's Room, and you can see a sort of a collapse of the whole thing. It's quite nice. And now I'm going to be doing all those books. I have them all set up in a row, and we're starting a new, I have someone working on a new website for me so that I can turn it's a podcast notion, but we've been filmed tonight, and I was filmed last night, and we're going to, or that's an old-fashioned word. What you know what I'm talking about, and we're using. That was the reason I came to MIT, is because I like the place. I have a history here, and I needed to do a lecture. They did my. I didn't have to be here for it, but it was fun. The documentary, and then I did the lecture yesterday. We filmed that, and we filmed tonight. And that's one of the reasons I'm talking to you, is because that's going to be on the film as well. I don't have to repeat this anymore, you see, because it's going to get edged into various forms of video, audio, video, something like podcasts. It's a little different, and so that's what I'm looking forward to when I get up on Monday morning, is going to the next step. And Miguel is going to be, where are you, Miguel? Miguel is going to be going, coming over regularly, and we'll work on this, and it'll go through the normal channels. A poor publisher, they have to deal with all this. They have to have all these pieces of equipment. Miguel, not for a year, because he has it now. And if you do a good, where are you? If you've lived through the year, we'll give you a second year. How's that? Okay. Any other quick questions? Because I'm just about done in. And by the way, before I forget, I want to thank you. This has been wonderful to be able to come back to MIT and do this. I should have warned. So, somebody should warn you that you're all going to be in the film. So we've got.
So the gentleman right in front has one last question for you. So.
Yes.
Yes.
Where?
I wanted to ask just.
Yes.
Hi. Just a very quick word because I've followed your music for a very long while. I know as well that you spend a lot of time at Cal Arts to teach people and work with people and teach people like.
Speak loudly.
Okay. I know you've spent many years doing work reaching out to other people about electronic music. I know you've done work teaching at Cal Arts, teaching people like Carl Stone, working with people like Charlemagne Palestine. You've done work with.
I'm quieting. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got it. I know what you're talking about. Keep going.
Yeah. So doing all this stuff with other pioneers of electronic music and inculcating a love for electronic music for the next generation of children. My question tonight is, what advice would you give the electronic music composers, the people who work in creative music for today and tomorrow? Like, what advice would you kind of give?
I honestly, that's a good question, because I'm supposed to be smart because I'm old, but I don't know the answer to that. I'm just discovering how many mistakes I made down the line. I think what you need to do is to find out what you want to do, what you feel like. There's a very good book I recommend. I hope everyone likes it because I keep recommending it. I forgot the author's name, but the name of the book is Your Left Brain Speaks, Your Right Brain Laughs. And music is on the laughing side. And you have to do things with your left brain and your right brain, and they have to work together. And I think oh boy, it's a big question. I know, it's okay. I think you have to ask yourself, what was it I told you? I think you have to ask yourself, if you want to study music, if you want to know something, you have to first use the right and left brain together. Try to live more with your right brain, and like your left brain always gets in the way. They did a test at Eastman years ago, and they mapped the brain even at the very beginnings of all this. And they mapped the brain, and they played dee, 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 dee. Which side of the brain was that on? It was on the left. It was on with mathematics and language, and when they went to dee, 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 that dee went to the right side. When it becomes music, it's on the right side. So start using the right side of your brain. That's the first thing to do if you want to write music, is let yourself go. Your left side's going to stop you all the time. What the fuck are you doing with that? What is that? Why don't you be quiet and let me just bathe in this for a while? No. And then you have to, if you have a split brain, and the right side is cut off, you can't laugh. You don't have any laughter with jokes. That's the reason. So the first thing to learn is to learn to live with the right side. If you're always going to interrupt, and what are you writing? Who's going to like it? I had a student once, somewhere where I was teaching, and he came in, and I was going long distance to go 2 days a week there. And they gave me 9 students. And he comes in and he said, I'm going to write a sonata. And I said, you're going to write a sonata? I said, nobody writes sonatas anymore. What are you going to write a sonata for? He got very embarrassed and went home. And next week he came in and he had this, he's writing a string quartet, and it was a mess. I mean, there were notes all over the pages. With our 4 hands, we could hardly get through a measure or so of it. It was really a mess, but it was really interesting because he was really doing something. So I really encouraged him. And the next week I come back, and now he's writing a fugue. Because I said, what happened? He said, I didn't know what I was doing. And so you understand what that means. So you have to try to keep your left side of your brain quiet. And it's very difficult. I don't do an operation, they're very bad. but it's very useful when you're crossing a street to say, that's a red light, you have to stop. But the left side is always censoring the right side. And that's fine for advanced people, but for us Neanderthals, do you know the oldest flute that plays a mode? It's the most used mode by all humans today still. It was found 80,000 years ago, and it plays exactly the same mode. I've forgotten which one it is now. And it sounds the same. I mean, it's the same instrument. 80,000 years. But the real thing about it, it wasn't made by humans. It was made by the Neanderthals. So we didn't start doing that stuff until 30,000, 40,000 years ago. So we aren't even what we thought we were. The left side tells us we're the best. The right side says, maybe not. Anyway, I don't know if that's any help.